Okay, I'm going to call to order the Board of Commissioners regular meeting for July 25th, 2017. If you would, could you please all rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. All right, I have no changes that I've received to the agenda. Does anybody have any changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor? Signify by saying
Aye. Aye.
Public comments. We have two people. Neil Gimmon, first up.
Thank you all. I'm sorry I'm a little bit dusty. It's been grain delivery day today. So, Neil Gimmon, 1201 Beckford Glen Drive, Waxhaw, North Carolina. Then, Mayor, council members, and staff members. Earlier this month, the governor signed into the bill into law known as the Brunch Bill. What this new law does is to bring the ABC laws into the 21st century. One aspect is to allow alcohol sales to begin at 10 a.m. on Sundays. A provision in this law leaves it up to the individual towns and cities to approve it. As of last night, Charlotte approved this law, and Salisbury just approved it this afternoon. What this time change will do will not affect anything for us at the brewery, but I'm asking you to consider this by approving this measure for Waxhaw, for all the other restaurants that can take advantage of this, to increase their sales, offer something new to the growing population that is looking to enjoy a champagne brunch. This will also bring in additional tax revenue. And while this law allows for an earlier start of sales to sell alcohol, it does not force anybody to drink. So please consider approving this measure in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Candace DeFinis.
Hey there, Candace DeFinis, 8313 Willow Branch Drive. I just had a couple of questions regarding our 34-acre parkland on Waxhaw Marvin Road. So back in December of 2016, during that commissioners board meeting, we made a motion to voluntarily annex that property into the town of Waxhaw under annexation request 18-219. And additionally, at that same meeting on December the 6th, we also took an action with Trayton Homes to rezone that land under CD 004744-2016 from R40 single family Union County zoning to CD R4 PRD. And I would like to understand, how do we go about zoning that property back to R40 single family for the residents of Waxhaw to maintain that as our 34 acres of park land? Additionally, during that same meeting on the 6th of December in 2016, we also took action to subdivide that parcel under SUB 004852-2016. And I would like to understand if we can have that subdivision removed and that we would, again, restore this parkland back to its original zoning and or a lesser density, if that is all possible. And what is the position or the process by which we can do that to have our 34 acres of parkland remain intact?
Thank you.
I did have one additional comment. I do think it would benefit the town of Waxhaw from a tax-based perspective to consider hearing the request of the brunch bill. Outside of Salisbury and the town of Charlotte, I believe that Cornelius also recently approved
They
that.
did it last night.
So I think, again, that would be a nice way to add additional tax revenue to our town and possibly bring additional businesses to Waxhaw that would look to serve and support more of our residents. But getting back to the parkland, I would like to understand, since we took these actions back in December of 2016, what is the process and what do we need to do in order to take and regain our parkland for our residents? And I would just also like to call to the record that the only person that voted against these 3 petitions was Commissioner Stewart. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's it for public comments. Consent agenda. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-0. Next up, recognition. Mr. Matthews?
Mayor, Commissioners, I'm here tonight to bring Tony Helms up. He's doing his 15-year award. He started with the town July the 1st, 2002. He was 18 at the time. That's where all this gray hair come from. Tony's the type that if you don't know how to do it, you give him about 10 minutes, they figure out how to do it. He's been real good for the town, for public service, and we'd like to give him this 15-year service award dedication for his time. I think she wants to get a picture of y'all too.
Todd, I don't know what your problem is. Tony didn't have any gray hair.
No, I was asked when I went to tell the town manager at the time, I said, I think I got the guy I'm going to hire. His name's Tony. He said, you do know he's 18, don't you? I said, yes, sir. I said, I think he'll work out. I'll let you know in a couple months. So he's been here 15 years, so we're doing good.
Thank you, Todd.
I'm going to put a hot water heater in.
Does he have a permit? Okay, next up, reports. Commissioner Stewart?
No report.
Okay. Commissioner Fitzgerald?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Burrow?
Just a comment, and it kind of flows with what Todd just presented, but we did receive a very favorable email from Tony Marquardt and in response to the public services response in Curitan. And I think that, thank you all again. That's the kind of emails are nice to receive.
Mayor Pro Tem Hunt?
Nothing this evening, sir.
Okay. I got 3 things to update everybody on. Today, the School of Government and the North Carolina League of Municipalities conducted their annual review of the legislative session and what's coming in August and September, because what ends in July doesn't really end in July. The Sunday brunch ordinance, and I was going to ask that staff, through Greg, bring back something to us at the next meeting, just in terms of what that would look like and how do we want to proceed. It is on us to either say yay or nay. The legislator put it on us. In terms of that was under the local government potpourri. Under the environment, there's a number of changes in solid waste, recycling, and composting. And as we finalize our statutory requirements to manage stormwater locally, and the number of changes there. It's good that as part of our growth management plan, we began investigating both stormwater and the compost facility and made the changes needed and are in the process of making changes. My comment to the board and the community, there's a number of changes there that we got to give staff the time to assess them and decide what changes they need to make as a recommendation to Greg and bring those forward. We just have to have some patience. And if patience wasn't the word with the environment, patience certainly is the word with land use. There's a number of changes around land use at the legislative level this year. There's major changes on code inspections to plan consistency statements that have to be implemented by October 1st. The impact on current plans to statute of limitations that became law and we have to retrofit it. And what's very interesting, I had a brief conversation with Greg today, a complete rewrite of the statutes on planning and development, 170 pages long. It passed unanimously in the Senate, and the House is going to take it up in August and get it to the governor. All that to say, we still have a chance, and so now staff's got one more to do to look at it and see what we need to get to the School of Government so it's written as effectively as possible, but we get a chance on that. And then they threw in there at the last minute a review process for how all municipalities run the inspection process. And again, that's something you guys are going to have to decipher if we have to make policy decisions, et cetera. But again, to the board, this impacts staff capacity, and some of our work in progress. And we have to be sensitive to that. On the election side, Union County Board of Education is now our partisan elections. They have 2 more sessions coming on August 3rd and another and September 6th. So stay tuned. And this is not atypical, but it is unusual because they're meeting. So as the governor signs, because he hasn't signed everything, they react to that or make the adjustments, and they're trying to finish up the land use part of it. Item number 2, the Nixon property, or the 27 acres across the street from the police department. There was a planning board meeting at the Union County level. They ended up in a 3-3 tie, which by law gives a choice, as I understand it. It's technically a no vote, and it comes back to the applicant as to whether or not he or she wants to pursue the application further. Mr. Rosenberg has asked for a planning board meeting on August 1st, next Tuesday. The format and what's going to be discussed is not clear yet, and so anybody that's interested in that, please stay tuned to the Union County site. As a town, we have made the county aware of where we stand on that, with some of the where there's a lack of conformity and the issues on transportation, and they have that and are factoring that now into the discussion. Item number 3, this is a good news story and where people can get involved. Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization has opened a 30-day public comment period to obtain input on its 10-year 2018-2027 draft transportation improvement program. It identifies the transportation projects and strategies that are going to undertake over the next 10 years in the region. I'm happy to say, after 3 years of hard work, Waxhaw has 2 projects on that list that represents $80 million in funding for the complete improvement of Highway 16 from Ray Road to Waxhaw Parkway. I'm going to reiterate, though, this is the funding step, the last step of the funding step. Nobody's going to go out and start shoveling dirt for a while because we got to get through the funding process. But it's taken 3 years of hard work. It started with the then board allocating money to get the traffic study up to date because DOT was using outdated numbers from 2007. It involved Dennis Rory being assigned to the technical, they call it the TCC, but it's the Technical Transportation Committee. So he could participate in, up until that point, Waxhaw had not really participated in that, and he could articulate and defend positions in terms of what a regional transportation map really looks like and why 16 is important. It involved Commissioner Warner and myself actively participating in all of the meetings at the political level to make sure, both at the CRTPO and at the Union County, to make sure they understood Waxhaw's needs, and we could explain it in the context of all the regional needs. To give you a perspective, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,800 projects in the regional list, and so it's not for the faint-hearted to try to get those projects through the system, and so it was truly a team Waxhaw effort. Here's where all of you come in. The last step in the financial process, and there's going to be a notice go out from our website, from our Facebook post, and a press release. They've opened the public comment period to obtain public input. We would love if you would let the CRTPO know you support the projects, and the numbers are listed. They'll be listed on the Facebook page, which improves and widens Highway 16 from Ray Road to Waxhaw Parkway. This is big, important step for Waxhaw. It's delivering from once this gets approved, we no longer have to fight for money for Highway 16. So there'll be a notice as to who to send it to. Basically, send an email to info@crtpo.org. Lastly, I just got an emergency notice on email that we should all wish Greg Ferguson happy birthday tomorrow. So thank you, Wendy, for reminding us of that. So happy birthday. Thank you. I'll turn it over to you.
I'll keep mine brief because that was a lot there with Highway 16. I think that's very important as we move forward to have some certainty with the funding. So the one item I wanted to report on tonight was we had a very successful staff retreat last week. We had the department directors participate in that, and everyone was engaged. They were thoughtful about their comments about where we're at as an organization, where we're at as a community, and we're going to follow up on that. So we'll do some further work. It's something that's an ongoing process. It's not it really was a snapshot in time, but it also gives us an assessment of areas we need to look at for improvement and areas that we're doing a good job in. So it's kind of an internal assessment, but really look at where we are as a community and as a staff. So that work will be ongoing. We're using that work to help prepare for the board retreat in August. So that's just part of that staff capacity assessment that we're doing internally. So if you hear more about that, that will be something we'll talk about a little bit further in August.
Any questions for the manager? Thank you. Okay, we have an item of old business. Action on Kensington 2, Kensington Park initial zoning petition, RZ 005901-2017. At the last meeting at the public hearing, there was a discussion on erosion as well as the zoning request. Erosion is an administrative issue, and staff is dealing with the residents directly on that, as it should be. Tonight, our decision has to do with zoning only, since we annexed the property in a while ago, and they asked for the zoning at this time. So, and at the public hearing, we had no objections to the staff recommendation, which is in front of you now. So, do we have any additional questions for Lisa McCarter on this? If not,
I'd like to make a motion to approve petition RZ 005901-2017.
We have a motion to approve. Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 4-0. Would you also
Yes.
make the motion to approve that the zoning request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future planning goals of the town of Waxhaw, is reasonable and in the public interest, and as it will allow for an intensity of development that is consistent with the residential designation found in the future land use map in the 2016 bridge document?
So moved.
Okay. We have a motion for reasonableness and consistency. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Ayes have it, 4-0. That's it for business. We have a closed session item that we are not going to take any action that pertains to the public. We're just going to discuss an attorney-client issue.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A3 to consult with the town attorney to receive information.
We have a motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.